everybody, and welcome to part 4 of our beginner's guide series. Hello! And my camera didn't freeze. I was a little bit worried about that because I've had it set up for so long. So hello to everybody, welcome to all of our new members. We've had another influx in the last week, so hello to you all. Hopefully my camera behaves itself tonight. Happy Australia Day! Australia Day is like my Christmas. I love Australia Day. It's like my favourite holiday. So happy Australia Day! We are doing, and I apologise for my lack of clothing tonight. I just noticed. Maybe I won't lean back and just tilt the camera that way a little bit. It's really stinking hot, so I'm in like one of those camisole t-shirts with the spaghetti straps. Yes, I might just not lean forward tonight. Good evening, everybody. We are doing tattoos and water slides tonight. Now, this is going to be a very basic, very quick tutorial. There isn't really a lot involved, but we were getting a lot of people asking about them just as we were starting to do our beginner's guide. So this is part 4. We have one part left in 2 weeks' time. That will be how 2 different ways that you can achieve the perfect ombre. And then we're done with our beginner series. So we're almost done. And I have a wrist tattoo tonight because I've noticed have you noticed that almost every Tumblr video, every live or every YouTube tutorial, somebody has a wrist tattoo? So now I'm officially in the club. I put it on my wrist so I could be in the club. So we're going to get started. Originally we were going to do how to print your own tattoos, but we agreed, A, because Danielle sells tattoos, I didn't really want to go promoting printing your own. B, they can be real, it can be a real pain in the ass to print onto tattoo paper. So we are going to skip how to print your own tattoo paper tonight and just go over like how I apply my tattoos, and then we're going to move into water slides, and water slides I will give a little bit more detail on. A, because a lot of people prefer to print water slides for themselves. You can find people, I think there's only one person in Australia that actually sells them as a business, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head because I've always done my own. But Etsy, you can buy pre-printed ones if you really want to. The better printer that you have, you can use inkjet or laser, but the better quality of your dots per inch for your printing quality, the better your water slides will be. So do also keep that in mind if you are going to print your own. I started out using an old Canon printer. It was like a Pixma printer. It wasn't the best printer in the world, but it did get me by. And then I upgraded, probably March last year, I upgraded to a better one. It's an Epson, and the quality was quite astounding, so that's what I use now. But we're going to start off with tattoos. Now I'm waiting to see when Danny jumps on because I need Danny to post her link for me. We are collaborating with DJ Designs tonight in regards to tattoos. So from now until 8:30 on Thursday evening, so you've got 48 hours. If you place an order with her to get some tattoos and you use the code ATMLive20, I'm just going to add that into the comments now. Use code ATMLive20 for 20% off. There we go. And hopefully Danny will show up and she can post her link. Hello everybody jumping on. People are struggling to find me. I'm right here. I'm sitting right here. They'll find me. But yes, up until 8:30 on Thursday night, New South Wales / Tasmanian time. If you use that code ATMLive20, you can get 20% off your tattoo order. So if you've been holding back or you've been in 2 minds whether you wanted to do it, now's the time, because Danielle very, very rarely has a sale. So I would definitely take advantage of that. But we are doing tattoos first. Now, what I do need is my little thingamabobby from Tanya. I am doing a tattoo on a beer glass tonight. I bought 2 of these. I'm not a huge tattoo person, just as a disclaimer. I prefer to use water slides, A, because I can print my own, so when I need them I can have them straight away. B, I just find them easier to use for me personally, but we, on occasion, we do have a need. Oh, that's not going to sit. There we go. We do have a need for a tattoo, and that happens to be this tattoo. I bought a couple of these. My son wanted it on his drink bottle for this year, so I bought one for him. This is my spare one. This is the one that we're going to use it tonight. It's not going to let me pin the comment. I can pin it. There, done, pinned. That was easy. I think, Anna, you can only pin comments if you're on a laptop. But yes, this is the tattoo that we are using tonight, guys. Now, I apologize to anybody who is like me. I have a really big problem mixing DC and Marvel. I don't think DC and Marvel should ever go together. They are two completely completely different universes, completely different fan bases. It always makes me a little bit twitchy. I have one customer and her son, he's only little, he's like 4 or 5, he's starting school this year, but his favorite superheroes in the whole world are Batman, the Hulk, and Captain America. And every time she orders something, she wants it with all 3, and it always makes me twitch because they should not go together. But yes, they are together on this tattoo. We are going to cut this so that it fits both sides. Okay. Now, I don't like tattoos. I'm not a big fan of using tattoos, mainly because I can never get them to stay. So I actually take mine down, which is why I thought I'd include it in my tutorial tonight, how I do mine. Okay, so we're going to cut it like that. We're going to try and put these guys on one side, if we can get it to fit. That's not going to stay in there, is it? That's alright, it'll hold it enough. Okay, so we are going to lose a little bit of the claw, but I'm not going to lose sleep over that. I just want my glass to stay. It's just that little bit too skinny. Okay, I'm going to try and get my camera set up for you guys as well. Okay, so I haven't even been drinking, guys. I've just had a lot of drama. A lot of drama the past couple of days, and I do apologize. But we're getting there. Okay, so I'm going to get, that's not going to work with that, so we're going to move that and hope that it just doesn't go roly-poly everywhere. Put some alcohol wipes there to stop it. And I've lost my tape. No, I haven't. Okay, a lot of people have issues with, I do have my Tanya holder out, but the bottom of the beer glass is too skinny, which is not a problem I usually have. Okay, the main problem that we've seen, sorry, I keep getting distracted. The main problem that we've seen from people that are having issues with tattoos is that they either don't go on the cup properly, or they have trouble, this isn't going to sit right, or they have trouble with it moving. So what I do, if I can get it to, because I probably should have, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save myself heartache, and we're going to do it on this skinny that I just happened to have laying around, because then I know it's going to work. Okay. I put a piece of painter's tape on one side. So I know that even if I get a little bit heavy-handed with my wet cloth, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So obviously it applies the same way as these kinds of tattoos do, face down. We're going to get, I don't think that's wet enough. I will catch up on comments in a second, guys, but at the moment all I can see is people saying hello. Christy, I know, but this bit here, was just a little bit too skinny, even with it pushed all the way in. So we're just not going to worry about that tonight. Make sure your cloth is not just damp, like you want it to be dripping. Okay, and I try and get my whole cloth to cover the whole surface at one time and apply pressure. Now, because that's taped down, I know that even if I do this, it's not going to move the whole image, right? So you're not going to get any smears or cracks or anything like that, but you really want to try and get as much moisture as you can to go through that paper. And I think maybe that's why some people have a lot of trouble trying to get... Anna, you shut your mouth. I'm not even going to reply to that comment. I just saw that comment pop up. I'm not even going to reply to that because I want to put this on YouTube. I think sometimes people have an issue with the whole image not transferring because either they haven't used a wet cloth, they've only used a damp cloth, or they haven't applied pressure and really tried to work that water in. So I do want to make a special note of that. Make sure that it's wet and it's going to soak through. Okay, so if I check that now, see, I can start to see the image come through. Right, that's when you know you're well on your way. So I'm just going to check to see that comes away nice and easy. It hasn't left anything behind on the paper. And I have my image. Okay, so I usually like to go over it with my wet cloth. Rub it down. There is a little air bubble there, so I'm just gonna, if you find out you do have air bubbles, that's because you haven't pressed hard enough. Like when the image was transferring, the image has come off the paper but not onto the cup properly. But if you gently push down and like out, you get that air bubble out. That is one side. There's one there as well. And we're going to turn around and do exactly the same on the other side, except I'm not going to do what I did with my son's drink bottle. See the product number and the logo. Please make sure you cut off any barcodes, any stock numbers, anything like that, because if you leave that on your design, guess where that's going when you make it wet? It's going to go straight onto your cup. So don't do what I did. I didn't do that with my son's drink bottle and I ended up having to sand it off. Okay, so that is there. All tattoos, like normal temporary tattoos, have this plastic backing. Make sure you take that off first. If you try and put your design on your cup with that plastic backing still on it, obviously it's not going to work. I know that seems really obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people make that mistake. Okay, so tape it down so I know it's not going to move anywhere. I'm just going to put a little bit more water. Joanne, I will update that in a minute. I was kind of hoping Danny would jump on so that I could give her a shout out. But the code, because we're doing tattoos and water slides tonight, water slides are really easy to make for yourself. Tattoos, not so much. So we are partnering with Danielle from DJ Designs tonight. She has agreed, and she doesn't hold a sale very often, so it's kind of a big deal. If you go over to her website, Anna, if you can please post her link because she's not around. I wonder if I can edit that. Oh, I can edit it. Okay, well, while this is cooking, for 20% off all tattoos, sorry for my arms, guys, orders at DJ until 8:30 p.m. Thursday. Okay, there we go. That's what that is. Danny's holding a sale. Danny never ever holds a sale. So it's a big deal that she said yes to this. But she's agreed that if you put a tattoo order in with her before 8:30 New South Wales time on Thursday, so next 48 hours, and you use that code at checkout, you will automatically get 20% off your order. So if you've been sitting on the fence about using tattoos, and this one that I'm using tonight is one of Danny's, definitely go ahead and take advantage, because it's not very often that she has a sale. It's a bit of a special occasion, but she's agreed to help all of you lovely ladies out tonight. And again, you'll see there's nothing left on the paper. I can take my painter's tape off now, and we have that. Now that's on a skinny. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It kind of leads into what we were talking about last week with how when you have, I'm going to move that up just a little bit, when you have a design, I might go around and add some alcohol inks or something to it, possibly a smoke effect. But we have, it looks, just making sure that I don't have half of Batman on the other side. That's okay, that's Captain America. But that is, if you look up close, how I apply my tattoos. Okay, so using painter's tape to secure your design always works really well. It means that even if you are sliding the cloth around, it's not going to move your design, and you're not going to get blurs or smudges or cracks or anything in your design. Make sure that your cloth is really, really wet. You don't want it like making drops and dripping, but you do want it wet enough so that when you squeeze it a little bit, you can feel the water squeezing into your hand. Having it just a little bit damp can sometimes not work so well, and that's why you get some of the design left on your backing paper. Also, applying a lot of pressure helps a lot too. But putting tattoos, this is just a 20-ounce skinny that I base sprayed a matte white, and I've put the tattoo straight over the top of that. Now I'm going to let this dry, figure out what I want to put around it, probably give it a spray seal, especially if I end up using alcohol inks, and then that's pretty much ready for epoxy. So a lot of people do buy, I'll show you. Do I have it? Yes. Okay, this I didn't get from Danny. This I ordered off Amazon because I'm a huge Nightmare Before Christmas nut, right? But this is, can you see the size of that? It's massive, right? It is considered a full sleeve tattoo, okay? So if I was to cut this in half, say just above Oogie Boogie and Zero's little doghouse there, I'd be able to wrap this section around half of the cup, this section around the other half of the cup, and actually end up with what looks like a full wrap, right? Just using a tattoo. So if you were looking for full wraps, the way that people are doing it, it's called a full sleeve because it's supposed to go like on a full arm. It's crazy, like it is the length of my arm. So if you were wondering how people did full cups with tattoos, this is what they're using. They're called full sleeve tattoos. I'm not sure if Danny has any of that size. I know she does stock large ones, but I'm not sure if she does full sleeves yet. It's definitely something, I mean, if there was enough interest in it, she could definitely look into doing it. Otherwise, Amazon has full sleeves. Can you apply tattoos onto cups that have epoxy on them, Joanne? I have never tried, but I'm going to take a guess at no. Only because you need that base. I don't have any paper towel to clean up. Try and use it. Let's see if we can soak it up with a baby wipe. It needs that matte base to apply to. I would think that it would be... Oh, you can. Okay, there you go. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. They're right. Apparently, yes, you can apply tattoos over epoxy. So completely disregard everything that I just said. I don't, like I said at the beginning of the live, I don't use tattoos all that often because I print my own water slides, and I can pretty much cover whatever I need to with water slides, including the full wraps. Which we are not going to go into full wrap water slides tonight. We are going to save full wrap vinyl and full wrap water slides for the intermediate series that we have coming up. So we've got one more live for beginners, but This is the cursed drink bottle that I wanted to have ready for last week, where I was going to put inks around it to show you how you can blot alcohol inks around water slides. This is a full wrap, but it's a water slide that I printed myself. This is for my other son. He's a little bit of a Fortnite nut, so we've got some of the season 1 characters there. Little battle bus, this little dude's doing the winning run, you know, where they put the hands there and then, yep. Right, but that was a water slide that I printed myself as well. My full slides I apply using what they call the tattoo method, which is basically the same way as what you just saw, except with a water slide, and it's already wet. But we are going to go through that tonight. So anything big like that with water slides, I will do the reverse method or the tattoo method, and anything small, I just do it normally, but we're about to get into that now. But yeah. You can use tattoos for anything that you can use water slides for, basically. It really becomes a preference. So if you've never used tattoos before and you've only ever used water slides, yes, you do epoxy over the top, Yvonne. I just saw your comment in. If you've never used tattoos but you've only used water slides, I definitely recommend trying out tattoos even once. And vice versa. If you've only ever used tattoos and you've never used water slides, I highly recommend you try a water slide at least once. They are two different ways of getting the same effect on a cup, and it really does become preference. So my personal preference is water slides. Danny's personal preference is tattoos. We have, who else is it in the group? There's somebody else in the group. Danielle might be able to jog my memory. She's also in DJ Designs. She buys tattoos from you all the time. She puts her cups up all the time. They are always lovely. I think she actually won when we did our big giveaway in Together We Create. She was one of the winners as well. But can you please jog my memory? Danielle says it should be okay to put it straight on the base, just don't leave it out to collect dust and things. Honey, my cups never sit around long enough without epoxy, except the cups that I make myself, right? Like that plaid cup that we made right in the beginning when I started doing tutorials in here, that still doesn't have epoxy on it. But if it's for somebody else, it never. Yes, eBay does have full sleeves as well. Okay. I may need to wait then. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. It's so hot. I'm not putting a shirt on. I did second guess myself, and then I was like, you know what? We're all friends in here now. And you do the same thing in your lives, except you've got. I'm not gonna finish that sentence. Actually, you've got nicer pants. You do. Okay, we're gonna move on to water slides. I made both of these myself. The images that I found were off Google. This is an SVG that I already had that I then made into a water slide with the image that I found. And this I added the text myself and found a watercolor. These are both being gifted tonight, so I didn't really care that I pinched the images off Google. But please, just a little disclaimer, if you are using images that you find on the internet, if you can, try and find the original artist. They're usually on Etsy, and just pay them the $2 that it costs for their image, man. Like, if we don't support them, they're going to all disappear, and then we're all going to be screwed because there's not going to be any images or SVGs for us to use. So make sure you always support artists. These I'm only gifting tonight, and I only printed them to do the live, so I was a cheap ass, and I didn't pay for them. This I already had. This I added myself. The motorbike and the cat are off Google though. Okay, so you can print your own. My printer, if you can see, that is a little bit blurry because it was a low quality image. My printer is an Epson XP970, I believe. It is an inkjet printer. I think the DPI on it is up around 2400 dots per inch, so it does print quite detailed images. But printing your own water slides will depend on the quality of your printer. If you have a cheap little printer, it might be worth reaching out to somebody else in the group and seeing if they can print for you. I'll message the rest of the sentence to you after the live. Anna, because I want to put this on YouTube and I don't want to get muted. But these are the ones that we're using tonight. We are going to do mugs tonight because I thought this would be a cool way to also discuss that you can use water slides on mugs. Putting them on a tumbler works exactly the same way, but coming up to Mother's Day, I thought I'd go through how I do my mugs. These are not the same as sublimation mugs. They will be hand wash only, just like your tumblers, right? So they're not dishwasher or microwave safe, but this is how I do my mugs for the moment. And especially around like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day is when I sell the most of them, which is why I'm going to go through with you tonight. But they are just normal mugs. I buy my mugs in bulk. I think I pay about $50 for 48 mugs. Works out to be quite a good deal when you think about it. And then I go on and sell mine for $10. So I don't make a lot of money off my mugs, but it is a good, easy, fast and effective way to get your name out there, especially in your local community. I've had a lot of repeat customers come back for other things, and the first thing that they ever bought from me was a mug. Liv, my printer is an Epson XP 970. You can get them from Officeworks. I think they're about $400 or $500 from memory. But I mean, I upgraded from a Pixma printer, so I was highly impressed. Okay, so the first one that we are doing tonight is the normal water slide method. Okay, so when you print your image, I print these in Silhouette Studio. Because I'm using clear water slide paper, I don't need to worry about registration marks or anything when I'm printing them, because it's not a print and cut job. I just do all of my design work in Silhouette Studio and print it like I'm printing it like a Word document or whatever. You can also do it in Word or Adobe Studios, or Photoshop, or I use GIMP because I'm too cheap for Photoshop. GIMP is a like a free version, a free source code version of Photoshop. So because this is clear, I'm just going to cut around it like this. Make sure we want, I'm left-handed, right? But most people are right-handed. So always make sure that the handle's on the left when you use your design. Just double checking to make sure that it's going to sit there fine. And then you want to get your water. Now, I live in Port Macquarie. Port Macquarie always has a really high chlorine factor to the tap water. Like, there are days where you can smell the chlorine when you turn on the tap. It's quite nasty. So I buy these from Coles, the demineralized water. We used to use these in our facial machines when I was a beauty therapist. For the same reason, so that it doesn't clog up your machine with all the nasty crap they're putting in the tap water. But I use the demineralized water. I think it cost me $2 or $3 a bottle. And then as long as I can't see any contamination in my water when I'm finished, I'll put the water back in the bottle, so it does last a while. If I can see any little floaties of dust, or the ink ran because I didn't seal it properly or anything like that, then I won't reuse the water. Now, because I have an inkjet printer, when I printed these, I did spray seal them with 2 coats, right? At the moment, I'm using what is my favorite, Rust-Oleum 2x clear. You can also use the White Knight one, and there is another one that people are using as well, which I've never used. I have used the White Knight one though, and I prefer the Rust-Oleum. So if you're using an inkjet printer, please make sure that you seal your image, otherwise the ink will run. If you have a laser printer, you don't need to seal water slides. And now you'll see when it gets wet enough, you'll be able to slide it, hence water slide, right? Now, a lot of YouTube videos will tell you to put your design down and then pull the backing sheet out. I only use it this way around when it's a small design and I can't be bothered playing with the slide part. So I take my design off entirely, I put a little bit of water where I want my water slide to go, and then I lay my water slide on like that. Okay, now because the water's underneath it, we can move it around until we get it into a position where we want it. Okay, and then I get my little silicone makeup brush. This is one from LBB Resin, but you can use any of them that are shaped like this, right? This is the shape that you want. Hold one side and squidgy out the water. Okay, then I'm going to flip it, hold this side and squidgy out the water from the other side. And you have all of your water sitting around there that we're going to clean up. But that is how I do my water slides, like that's not reversed, right? I don't bother trying to slide out the paper from it underneath. When I was doing it that way, without fail, my design would always rip or crack, and I just had a horrible time. So this is how I do it now. I take it off the paper completely and I place it myself. Now, because this is on a mug, I will hit it with a heat gun just to make it stay. And then usually when it's not nighttime and not 9 o'clock at night, I have, I'll see if you can see it. I got, no you can't because the, see this oven down here? This one here? It's like a little convection oven. I scored that for $25 from an op shop, right? If you are going to be doing mugs and you are going to be baking them, especially if you live with children, please don't bake your mugs in the oven, especially if you've used spray sealer, because when it's heating up, I'm not sure what it is about the toxicity, but it's recommended that you don't bake your water slides in the same oven that you cook food in. So if you wanted to do mugs this way and put them in the oven and oven bake them, I do, because I just find that they last the test of time if I put it in the oven. Go to an op shop or somewhere if you want to try and save money and get yourself just a little like countertop convection oven and cook your mugs in that. That's how I do mine. Otherwise you can just hit it with a heat gun. Hit it with the heat gun. The only thing about doing it with a heat gun instead of baking it in an oven is you do have to let it dry out for at least 48 hours after you hit it with a heat gun to make sure that all moisture has completely left the building. If you are baking it, I put my convection oven has a little temperature timer. I put mine on 100 degrees Celsius and I bake it for 15 minutes. And then it's ready to go once it's cooled down. So, Tracy says, I found that, no, we lost you. I found that warm water is a game changer for water slides. I just use room temperature water, but I have heard that too, except too hot will crack the image. So just be careful with your temperatures there. Either way, don't ever use cold water, like cold water. I wouldn't go any lower than room temperature water. So you know how, I don't know if you guys, does anybody have the old hot and cold taps, or does everybody have the one that just swings? Like it's got the handle that swings from hot and cold. That's what we have, the swinging one. I usually make sure it's dead in the center, right? Because that's usually room temperature water. But I don't use tap water for my water slides anymore anyway, because they've messed with the water in Port Macquarie. It's been really horrible for about 6 months. How long do you bake them? I bake mine for 15 minutes at 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that is that way. Now, doing it this way obviously does not work like without sliding out the paper, just putting the design straight on. Obviously that's not going to work with a design that is big like this. Okay, it'd just be an absolute nightmare trying to handle a big wet sheet and trying to get it to apply. So for anything bigger than this, or if you're not confident doing it that way and you're still having issues sliding out the backing paper, this next way is another way to do it as well. It is called the tattoo method. but they're not tattoos. Okay. Now, I met a boy recently, and he rides a motorbike, so I'm gonna make him a mug. This one's for him. I've already asked him if he wanted a mug. I was like, look, I have to make something for a live. I don't really want to waste another tumbler. If I make a mug, do you want it? He's like, hell yeah, I want a mug. So this is for him tonight. You're helping me score brownie points, so thank you very much, guys. So I'm just going to cut around it. And you will see that it's backwards. Okay. This is because when we put it on the mug, we're going to put it on the mug the same way that we would put a tattoo. Okay, and that's why you call it the tattoo method. A lot of people say don't do it this way because the adhesive of the water slide is actually between the backing paper and the top layer. I am here to tell you, don't worry about it. I've been doing, when I do my mugs, okay, disclaimer, if you're not putting epoxy over it, I probably wouldn't recommend doing it this way because they are right, the adhesive is on this side. So if you're doing anything like a mug, or what's another example that we can use? I don't know, mug's all I've got. All right, if you're putting a water slide on anything that is not getting a top layer of epoxy, please don't do it this way. Please do it the way that we just showed you, where the image is the right way around and it goes on the cup this way. That's because the adhesive is underneath. The adhesive is heat activated, which is why you need to hit it with a heat gun or put it in the oven. Air drying it for a couple of days. Some instructions say that that's enough. In my experience, not hitting it with the heat originally and just leaving it to air dry for a few days, the design doesn't last as long. It does start peeling after a few hand washes. So please don't do mugs this way. The only reason I'm doing it this way is because I know that I can get away with it because he knows that it was for a live. Okay. But otherwise, if you're putting it on a cup and it's going to have epoxy over it, this is a really, really easy way of applying water slides if you've been intimidated by the other method. Okay, so I'm going to put water on my mug again. Anna knows all about, okay. I'm not somebody that dates or gets herself involved with love or relationships. So me meeting a boy is a huge deal. And I went on a date on Friday, which is like the first date I've been on in about 5 years. Proper date that I've been on in about 5 years. So it's kind of a big deal in my little circle that I'm seeing this boy. But yes, Anna knows all about it because I called her on Friday night and told her all about it because I needed somebody to talk to and gossip to. Yvonne, are they dishwasher safe after baking? No, honey, they're not. The only mugs that would be dishwasher safe or microwave safe would be ones that are subliminated, which is not something that I've gotten into yet. I have plans, but not yet. Okay, so we're going to put this, face down like that, and then you can just slide off that top layer without having to get it out from underneath, and you have your water slide. Same deal. We're going to squidgy all of that water that's on it out from underneath it, and just make that. It's not straight. Okay, and this is why I like water slides better than tattoos. Okay, because if you make a mistake, you can just rip it off. Well, don't rip it off, please don't rip it off, you'll tear it. You can take it off and reposition it. Like so. And now we'll just squidgy again. I don't like talking about my personal life very much, so I've gone a little bit quiet because I'm trying to figure out why I just opened my mouth on camera. I'm not somebody that likes to talk about their personal life on camera. So I'm not sure if this one will be going on YouTube after all. or I might make it private so that you have to have the link to access it. But that is our second one. So same deal, hit it with a heat gun, leave it to dry, put it in a oven. Please don't use the oven that you use to cook your food. I'm not sure if it's the same for a laser printer. I don't have a laser printer, but I do think it has something to do with the fact that because it's an inkjet and it's been spray sealed, putting it in the oven is not good. Not good, not safe. Can you put water slides over epoxy? I am just about to cover that. When you put a water slide on a mug, it's not a huge issue because that's all that you're doing with it. When you are doing water slides on tumblers, you do need to put it over epoxy. Even if you just want to put it over a white cup like this, a white base, you need to put at least, I usually just do a hang method so that there's something on there, but you do need a layer of epoxy under water slides, otherwise you are going to see the outline of the water slide. Okay. I don't have any examples of not epoxying first, but I do have plenty of examples of tumblers where I have used water slides. This is one that I'm doing for one of my mystery boxes. Her name's Andrea. She's actually a cheer mum, so I can show you this one because she's not on here. But if you can see, you can't tell that there's a water slide under there at all because there was a layer of epoxy between me putting the water slide on. Like this goes epoxy, water slide, another coat of epoxy. Okay, but you can't see the outline of that at all, and it was a big uneven mess because I had to make sure that the feathers laid flat and everything, whereas without epoxy, if I can get it to show up on camera, please show up on camera. Kind of see, like, to the naked eye I can see the lines. Maybe it's just the angle, I don't know. But when you don't put epoxy on a tumbler underneath a water slide, is that a better example? Yeah, okay, look, see across the top of the text here, see how you can see that line? Right, to the naked eye that really does stand out, like you can tell that that's an image, or it looks like a clear sticker, right? If you've ever used clear stickers, you know how even though they're clear, you can still see the border, like the cut line. Same deal. That's what you're going to have. Even if you epoxy over the top of it, under the epoxy, you're still going to be able to see like the border of your water slide. So you always have to make sure that you epoxy first on tumblers. Mugs you don't need to worry about. Once they bake, that line does fade a little bit. It's actually quite annoying that it's not coming up on camera. Like, you'd think that I'd be happy that you couldn't see, but for example's sake, that's quite frustrating. But yeah, to the naked eye, it doesn't stand out like, I can't think of another expression than the one that I want to use, and I don't want to use that one on camera. It doesn't stick out really badly, but to the naked eye under the light you can see, right? Once this bakes, it's not so obvious, or once it dries, it's not as obvious as when it's still wet. But if you don't put epoxy under a water slide on a tumbler, you are always going to see that shadow line. Does that make sense? I'm not making much sense tonight, am I? I used the first method to do full water slide wrap on a drink bottle without any problems. Had to make 79. Jackie, my hat goes off to you. I don't like trying to slide that paper out from underneath my water slides. I didn't have a lot of luck when I first started using water slides. I had an American friend of mine actually tell me if it's a small design, don't muck around with the slide part. Just take the image straight off the backing paper, put the water on the surface that you're working on, and apply it that way. So that's just what I've always done. And then for big slides, I do what we did with this one, where it's just a big tattoo. Right? I put it face down and then I peel the paper off, and then I go around it with a squidgy then. So my hat goes off to you because I can't. Sublimation isn't recommended for the dishwasher either. That is very interesting because I have a few friends that are into sublimation. One of them has been into it for quite a while. Her tumblers, she says, don't put in the dishwasher, and that's because anything that's insulated or double walled shouldn't be going, obviously not the microwave because it's metal, like, duh. There are some stupid people out there, but generally as a rule metal doesn't go in the microwave, so that's like an unspoken rule. But she does say don't put tumblers in the dishwasher because the high pressure can actually pop the insulation seal, like the little seal that's in the bottom. Where's the 20? Here. Under here is where like your vacuum seal is for your insulated part. And the dishwasher can mess with that. But mugs, I was always under the impression that subliminated mugs can go in a dishwasher. So that's interesting. I don't even know what it is. I'll have to look it up. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Yvonne, so I'm sorry. Thank you, Megan. It's a bit nerve-wracking, but you know, it actually started out as a dare with my best friend, but that's a story for another time. It's an ink that you print that sublimation. Yes, okay. So sublimation is a special kind of ink that goes onto a special kind of coating. So if you want to get into doing sublimation on shirts, on tumblers, on mugs, anything like that, you do need, say it's a mug, you do need mugs that are suitable for sublimation because they have a special coating on them that sort of like absorbs the ink when heat is applied to it, and it actually infuses the ink into the coating. It is not unlike when you do like printable heat transfer that you have to put the heat on, and then you remove the backing paper and it leaves the design on the shirt. Same concept, but it works differently. But you do need, it's a special kind of printer with a special kind of ink. You need special kind of blanks. It's a whole nother side to the craft. But I just have an inkjet printer, so I sealed with everything. Would you seal it with Mod Podge? No, Yvonne. You can't seal it with Mod Podge. You can't seal Waterslides with Mod Podge. You can't seal tattoos with Mod Podge. It needs to be epoxy or crystal-lac if you're using crystal-lac. Or if it's just a mug, it needs to be oven-baked. The freezer bags is a brilliant idea, Susan. Susan says she's wondering if when she does the tattoos, could she maybe place a freezer bag over the cups so that they, after they dry, to avoid dust. Yes. That is also a really good way if you've got a no glitter cup. Thank you. I've got a cup of tea. My cup of tea. Let's see if I can fit that under my, nope, it's not going to fit under my tripod, so it can go around my tripod. If you have a non-glitter cup in your craft room that you have to do and you're in between working with it, as long as it's dry, putting it in a Ziploc bag can make sure that when you're playing with glitter, it's not going to like fly off and accidentally land on the cup or anything crazy like that. That's what I do. Just please make sure that your epoxy is cured before you go putting it in a Ziploc bag, otherwise it could be a little bit disastrous. The guys who I bought my ink and products said that they were recommended whether itches change. Rebecca, I bought my ink, said it wasn't recommended whether itches changes, whether it's changed since. Oh, you're talking about putting it in the dishwasher. Okay, I gotcha. Look, I don't do sublimation. I've never done sublimation. I am not the person to comment. I was under the impression that you could put the mugs in the dishwasher but not the tumblers. But if you've had an expert tell you otherwise, then I would tend to follow his advice and not mine, because I don't know shit. When it comes to sublimation, I only know what I know from other people doing it. Joanne, you're definitely right. I do the same as well. Even things that could go in the dishwasher, I always tell people, please don't. Hand wash only, or if it's like shirts or apparel or anything like that, if anybody does that, I even go as far as to tell them to turn their garment inside out when they're washing. Don't use hot washers and don't tumble dry, especially if it's like printed HTV. I use the stuff for the dark fabric, even if it's light fabric, and then press it on that way, because I don't like the look of the printable HTV, the way that it transfers on for light fabrics. So I just use it for dark fabrics. Hello Laurel, we're almost done. The only last thing that I want to go over is my recommendation if you want to get into doing water slides is don't mess around with white water slide paper. I am not a fan personally. I know some people do use it and this is why. Never have I needed white water slide, even if I've needed a white water slide, and that is because you can print on clear. You would print it the same way as we printed our little motorcycle guy tonight, where you flipped the image and printed it reverse. So when we printed this, before this was applied, this was reversed, and then we put it on the cup upside down like it was a temporary tattoo, slid the backing paper away, and that is why it now reads the right way around. I'm trying not to mash my words here. But you would print it as a flipped image, so it was reversed. You would then spray paint. If you're doing this, please make sure that you put your registration marks on, because this particular method is a print and cut job. Okay, so what I do is print it out with your registration marks and your cut lines and everything that you need, but don't cut yet. What you do, because the image is now reversed, is spray white spray paint, and I usually put like you know, the go-between sheets, like the freezer paper. I usually tape some of that around my registration marks so that I don't spray paint my registration marks. Handy hint. But you'd spray paint your paper white once it was printed, and then you would go ahead and do your print and cut job. And then when you applied it upside down, because you're applying the white side to your tumbler or your mug or anything, when you apply it upside down and you pull it off, you're going to be able to see your design on a white backing, even though you used clear water slide. So I have never bought white water slide paper in my life, because I can easily convert clear. I mean, I use clear for 99.9% of my projects anyway, but once in a while you will come past something that does require you to have, like, it might be a dark base but you want to use a water slide. That's what you do then. Personally, if I ever come across it, I just use printable vinyl. I prefer to use printable vinyl instead of trying to make it white, but before I got into printable vinyl, that's how I got around not having white water slide paper, because being able to do it that way means you've just cut down on your costing. Instead of having to buy clear and white, you just buy clear and you can make it white. Tanya, we were talking about this. That's why you were tagged. I was trying to use it for my beer glass, but the bottom of my beer glass seems to have lost a little bit of weight and we couldn't get it to sit in there. But I was trying to use that tonight. Could I say that again, please? Are you talking about the how to change clear water slide paper to white water slide paper, Leanne? Is that what you meant? So, clear water slide is what we use tonight. If you needed to create white water slide, but you wanted to save some money, you can make clear water slide into a white water slide. All you would do is reverse print your image. Make sure your registration marks are turned on, because it does become a print and cut job. Okay. Reverse flip your image, print your image, spray paint white over your water slide, wait for it to dry, put it back through your cutting machine to cut, and then when you apply it, you would apply it face down like a temporary tattoo, slide the backing paper away, and then the white spray paint that you've spray painted on your design now sits between the actual design itself and the tumbler because it's on the bottom. Okay, another way around that, which is what I do now, is use printable vinyl. Anything that you need a white background to, just use printable vinyl. Where do you buy bulk mugs from, Yvonne? I buy mine from, if you go onto, I can never remember, it's like a party supply place. But if you go onto Google and just type in bulk white mugs Australia, a whole bunch of them will come up. But I think from memory, it's been about 6 months since I bought mugs, because I just steamrolled past Father's Day last year. My big mug times are usually Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day, and I just didn't give a shit about Father's Day last year. It kind of came and went, and I didn't do, unless somebody approached me for an order, I didn't do much advertising or marketing last year. But I think I pay about $50 for 48 of them, and then like plus shipping. I think shipping's about $15. But if you go onto Google and just type in like bulk mugs white, but make sure you put Australia at the end, otherwise you're going to get a lot of American companies and they will try to charge you out the butt for postage because it's so heavy. So do you seal the water slide on the mug? It was already sealed, Sonia. I have an inkjet printer, so I always seal my water slides before they go anywhere near the water. Now that they are on the mug, I won't be able to get to do this until tomorrow, but I will anyway, just for good measure. I have a little convection oven that I got from an op shop. I cook all of my mugs in my convection oven. Because I have spray sealed it, it is recommended that you don't bake your mugs in the same oven that you cook in, especially if you've got little kids, because we don't want to kill children. That's pretty frowned upon, guys. I picked my convection oven up from an op shop, a local op shop. I paid $25 for it. It was an absolute bargain. So if you do want to go that avenue, hit up all of your like your salvo shops and your Vinnie shops. We have one here that's run by a local church. It's called the Hope Shop. That's where I scored mine. Sometimes places like cash converters and stuff have them because people have pawned them or traded them in for cash. But yeah, I use a convection oven. My convection oven has a temperature gauge on it, and I cook my mugs at 100 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. So that's how I do my 2 ways to do water slides. We covered tattoo application and how I do my tattoos. We've covered the traditional water slide method where it slides out from underneath and how I got around that. With this one was what they call the tattoo method, which is just a reverse print application method of a water slide. Both of these were clear, and we've also covered how to change clear water slides into white water slides, and what you need to do in regards to applying them to tumblers and stuff like that. Does anybody have, thanks Jackie, my biggest sellers for mugs are usually, you know the watercolor splotches that you can sometimes get for free on like design bundles and stuff like that? One of my biggest sellers is around Mother's Day, where they get a watercolor swatch of their choice with their name over the top. And I sell that for $10, and I sell buttloads of them. So it is a good idea for, I mean, you don't make much off the mug, depending on how much you're paying for your mugs, and then you take into account the ink and the sealer and everything like that. You don't make a whole lot. I mean, I live in Port Macquarie, so I'm regional. People have a lot of money in Port Macquarie, but they're pretty tight-assed about it. So I have to kind of price my stuff around what I know people would be willing to pay. And people are willing to pay $10 for a customized mug in Port Macquarie, but they're not prepared to pay $12. So I'd suggest trying to push them for around the $12 to $15 mark, because it is a custom item, but me personally, nobody buys them in my area for that price. So I had to come right down to 10 bucks. But it is, the way that I look at it is a really good way to get your name out there in your local community. And 9 times out of 10, if somebody buys a mug off me for a special occasion because they've seen me advertising my mugs, they will become return customers for other things. So it opens up an entirely new customer base for you as well. How do you seal it after you apply the water slide? Angela, water slides are heat activated adhesive, right? So once it goes on there, we've squidgied out all of our water, and make sure you are really, really, what's the word? Thorough when you're removing all the water out from underneath. That is why I use what is essentially a squidgy to push all the water out from underneath. You go ahead and you hit it with a heat gun. You can use no naked flame. When I say heat gun, I mean like the ones that blow hot air, like really hot air. Don't get too close, because especially if you do have water up underneath it, you can bubble your design. Okay, but you just want to hit it with heat, and that activates the adhesive. And then you just let it dry. The other alternative, which I find lasts a lot longer, is doing it in the oven. But as I've mentioned, probably wouldn't do that unless you have a laser printer, because you're not using any spray seal. Alright, Anna, we're about done anyway, love, so I'll catch you later. If you're using a laser printer and you haven't needed to spray seal it, you could probably get away with putting it in the oven. Otherwise, just try and find a little cheap, you know, like the grill ovens, like little countertop ones. That's all you need. Kmart used to have them for about $45, I think, but I'm a tight ass, so I'm always looking for bargains. I went to the op shop one day, I saw this oven sitting there, it was $25, and it's like I can fit 4 or 5 mugs in it at a time. It's huge. And eventually I do want to get into sublimation, so that was like a future investment for me as well. But yeah, heat is what you need. Please don't go spray sealing, especially if it's a mug. Don't go spray sealing over the top of your water slide. People are going to be putting their lips on this. It's not good for them. But yeah, it's heat activated. I have one of those benchtop oven grill things that I don't use. You could use that. Yes, Joanne, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like the little camping ovens. As long as it has a temperature gauge, like you can control the temperature. If it just says low, medium, high, I can't comment on that. That could very well work, but it would be trial and error. So you'd start it on low, and you might be able to get away with low, but if low's too, like, I don't know. I like being able to control the temperature. So as long as it's got like the degrees Celsius on it, use that. Bake your mugs for 15 minutes at 100 degrees. But yes, that's exactly what it is. Just a little countertop oven is all you need. You don't need something as big as I have. I only got that because, like I said, I found it at an op shop and I was like, yeah. Hairdryer, yes, a hairdryer would work as well. Anything that blows hot air, you know, a bit akin to me, really. But you can't use me to apply your water slides, sorry. But yes, anything that blows hot air, as long as it's not a naked flame. Where do you get the Crazy Cat Lady? I made this. This is an SVG that I already had, that just had the text. This, I found the image on Google. I went looking for watercolored cats because I wanted to make a mug for myself, because I am still using my Santa Claus mug because I don't have another mug. So I thought I'd make one for me, and then I'll make one for this new guy that has Harley Davidson, and then I don't have to try and go through the effort of trying to sell it because it's already got its purpose. But yeah, I made that. It is really super simple. In Cricut or in Silhouette or even in Paint or Word, it is really, really simple to create your own water slides. Otherwise, there are plenty of people in this group that would be more than happy to help you out. If you ever found an image that you needed, or you had an order and you needed help with, just reach out in the group and I'm sure you'll find somebody that will happily help you out with printing a water slide if you're printer isn't up to the job. Didn't know water slides were heat activated. Yes, the adhesive is. But you like, it's got to be dry. Make sure that there's no water underneath. And don't let it sit, like, because I'm letting this sit overnight, I will still go ahead and put it in my oven, but I'm not going to hit it with heat. I'm just going to let it dry out, because that's already, I mean, sitting here talking to you guys, that's now pretty adhered. I'm just going to put it in the oven for good measure to make sure that, especially all the edges, because it's usually the edges that'll just slightly curve up, ever so slightly curve up, after a couple of washes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven tomorrow. But if you're not using an oven, please make sure that once you squeegee out all of your water, pat it down with a paper towel and then hit it with your heat then. Okay, and you'll know when it's done, because you'll literally see the outline start to disappear. It doesn't disappear entirely on mugs, but it does disappear enough where you've like got to look up real close to see it. Going to have a go on a mug now with some of the water slides I made. You go for gold, Jackie. It is a lot of fun. Can I buy one? Angela, are you talking about the water slide or the mug? Because I would be more than happy just to send you this picture. Like, I made it for the live. Because I wanted to make myself a mug, and I was like, And I already had this. I can't even remember where I got this from. But yeah, I don't mind sending you the picture if you want to do it yourself. If you don't want to do it yourself, I don't have any problems printing you one and sending you one for free. I don't mind doing that at all. Just send me a message and let me, like, PM me and let me know what you want, and I'll hook you up. Which is something I don't usually do just before anybody comes at me. If I get, and usually I do, like, I do try to do the right thing. Tonight, because it was for the live, I didn't. But usually for customer orders or anything like that, I do try my very best to always find the original image or like the paid image and pay for my images. A lot of the time they are only for personal use, not commercial use, and you have to upgrade your license, so please always double check that as well without getting into it too much. But yes, tonight I did do the wrong thing. I did just pinch this image off a Google search. So as long as you promise that it's for you and you're not going to go on and sell it, I don't mind sharing it with you. But yeah, usually if it's a paid image, I just link the person to the image where I bought, like the link where I bought it from, and make them buy it themselves.